Real Cis Man podcast.
For the girls we were,
For the sisters we became,
and the women we're becoming. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, we are getting so much better at that.
Yes, we
like,
are.
y'all don't even understand. We're gonna drop a blooper reel. Like, we mess up this intro
All
so
the time.
faithfully. Like, almost as faithfully as we've been recording lately.
We're giving you back-to-back episodes.
Come on now, y'all.
That's why the outfits look very familiar.
So don't feel the need to comment. If you see an episode with a similar outfit, just
keep it to yourself.
they work hard that day.
Exactly.
Come on, somebody.
Also, it's okay to repeat an outfit or two or three.
Yes, y'all. We do not want to keep contributing to the world of fast fashion and their disaster on the world that we live in. Consider, ladies, re-wearing your outfit. This has been an announcement from someone who cares.
And I agree. She says that she wears Shein dresses right now.
Listen, you know what it is, actually? I wish that Shein dresses weren't a necessary part of life right now.
I mean, honestly, I'm a plump little thing, okay? You know,
She's voluptuous.
in all the places. In all the places.
In
So,
all the right places.
and so it is kind of hard to shop sometimes in person. So, and it's not too expensive, but I'm trying to, control myself.
And you know what? Like, let's be honest. They make the girl trips what they are,
They do.
right? Like, let's just be honest.
my outfit, my whole attire, well, not my whole attire, a good chunk of it was very much from Shein.
Listen, Shein, Fashion Nova, I want to say, which is the other one that I've recently been dibbling
I did some
dabbling
from
into?
Forever 21, Fashion Nova. There's Pretty Little Thing.
Pretty Little Thing. I'm like, listen, and that's where the girls are getting the vacay wardrobes. I mean, this is the summer of revenge travel, is it not?
Yes, you keep saying that. What is revenge travel?
Listen, all right, y'all. Like, let's just keep it all the way funky. We was locked up in a pandemic. Nobody saw us. Let's just be honest. Who was ordering clothes during the pandemic? Like, I'm gonna wear this after the pandemic, and then like it went. Like the fashion came and went. Like, if I'm wearing a peplum top right now, they're gonna be like, ooh, what is that? like, it doesn't make sense. Which, granted, we probably shouldn't have been ordering as much during the pandemic.
But we thought it was gonna be over like 6 months.
Right, because they did say 6 weeks at first.
Yeah.
Then it turned into 6 months. Then it turned into over a year. But needless to say, I think that Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Things, the fast fashion industry has become a staple as to where we are. And especially as we discuss today's topic, which is the girls' trip, it really, it defines the wardrobe. Like, the wardrobe has to match. As y'all know, recently, me, Lola, and our friend Margaret, the third invisible co-host,
She's here. You can't see her.
You can't see her.
Say hello to the people, Margaret.
Hello. But, so we recently went to DR.
We went to my ancestral homeland.
Come on, I mean, I live on the other side. My ancestral homeland is on the other side.
The combined ancestral homeland.
But it was her side.
This my side, but it's okay.
And it was a wonderful trip.
Beautiful country.
And
I recommend it. 10 out of 10.
She does. Listen, y'all, if y'all get Lola started on DR, on Samaná, on Santo Domingo, on every place, she will give you not only the history, but why you should go there, why you should retire there, why you should get married there. Y'all, Lola is straight up a tour guide.
I love that country.
I know.
I love that country.
You can't, y'all, I've been trying to convince her to go to other countries. Lola's like, and that sounds cute and everything, but it's a no for me, dog.
I had told them, if someone said, hey, I can give you a pass to go to as many countries as you want for the rest of your life, but you will never go back to DR, or you can only go on vacation to DR and never go to another country, I'm picking DR.
But what person gives you such a sick, twisted choice?
I mean, a sick, twisted person, and guess what? As a sick, twisted person, I answered. I said DR.
Oh my gosh. So basically, because no one was able to go out during the pandemic, I mean, I shouldn't have to tell y'all was home, right? I'm like,
and masked up.
Come on. So I'm like, because of that, everyone is just like, this year I'm traveling. And also too, this is the summer following the Great Resignation. Everyone trying to live their best, their most high quality life, and guess what? I'm here for it. But, I mean, there seems to be an issue, and I think it's always been there.
Yeah.
The unsung song of the problems with the trips. I mean,
with the girls' trips.
The girls' trips. And I don't know why that is. I want to say that it's not true, but I'm not going to lie. I've been on a few girls' trips where I'm like, I don't care to do this again.
I could leave this at home.
And I think that, I didn't even notice that it was a problem until my friend Wesley, he recently went to Jamaica for his birthday. And, he was talking about how he met these lovely ladies while he was out there. He was like, they were hanging out, they were friends, and I was with my friends, so we were just like, hey, let's hang out all together. And it was great, And I was like, oh, like if that's the case, why not just invite, some girlfriends from back home? And he was like, oh, no, absolutely not. He was like, I found them out there and that's fine. But he was like, but everybody knows it's apparently notorious that whenever women go on a trip together, there's beef, there's problems. Hence, like the TikToks that are like, leave your broke friend at home. You've not seen those?
I've seen that, but that's me. Also, as someone who happens to be the broke friend from time to time, Fergie once said, if you ain't got no money, take your broke ass home. Like, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it. Don't.
But you know what it is? I think it's the friends that do it to themselves. Yeah. Like, and here's the thing. Like, I'm someone who travels frequently. And recently, I've come to realize, okay, like, I don't think I can invite everyone to these travel trips. And here's why. Because you have friends who have all the good intentions of going, but don't have the financial resources, like don't have the actual, like just the will to go. Yeah. Like, you ever have a friend who's like, oh my God, I'm so gonna go to like every event and then never shows up to any event?
There was this TikTok where it's like, oh, when your friend says like, let's go here, and they're like, let's book it right now.
Book it right now. I'm ready. Passport stay on me. And then, you know what? My passport picture does stay on me. Like, I actually know my passport number by heart. I'm ready to book at any time.
Well,
listen, it's not for everyone.
It's not, and you need to be honest with yourself. Like, I'll tell people, like, hey, I went on vacation X months ago. When do you plan on doing whatever? Oh, I don't have enough PTO. Okay, cool. I might take you for dinner for your birthday, or figure something out.
And you know what I've also realized too? Like, I think that the problem is that not only are people dishonest, but like, how long do you keep up the ruse? Travel Noir recently put up a post on Instagram, and they said, what travel trip ended your friendship? And many people in the comments were like, this one girl in particular was like, yo, me and my best friend planned a trip to Paris. Like, they're from the US. They seem to be Midwest. And she was like, we planned a trip to Paris. I was at the airport. Like, the flight was getting ready to board, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, is she coming? The whole morning she had been texting her, making it seem like she was on her way to the airport, all the things. And then she texts her like, hey, I'm not coming. And she goes, are you at the gate? Should I wait for you? Should I tell them to delay the flight? She's like, no, like, I never bought the ticket, blah, 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 blah. And she was like,
well, your friend's a habitual liar then.
Right. And she goes, I just got on the flight and enjoyed my time in Paris, and that was the first my first ever solo trip. And many people kind of echoed that. Like, they had friends who didn't go that far, but they were like, okay, like the week of, hey, I can't go. And they were like, and that was my first ever solo trip. And I was like, ooh.
Also, why would you wait a week? I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, I'd be honest. Like, I'm like, sure, we can plan this trip. And then when we get serious, it's serious. But like, also, no. I would not let someone book a whole flight and tell them I'm coming with them if I had no intentions on coming. And even if I did have intentions to come and then I changed, I would, immediately.
The minute I change my mind, or the minute I see that the math ain't mathin', like, I will say I am one of those reckless travelers. Like, I don't check for PTO. I don't check my bank account. Like,
oh, I am. I literally asked you guys. So I was like, so how much are we spending? And I thought people were thinking I was pocket watching them, but like, no. I'm like, I'm bringing X amount of dollars. How much? I want to know that we're on the same wavelength.
Understanding what this trip is.
Because I don't want to think, oh, we're going there, we're going to have a little sandwich, and you're like, let's go 5-star Michelin. I want to go everywhere. And I'm like, okay, well, my wallet says this corner right here is nice,
My wallet determined that was a lie. That's not going to be my testimony.
But I asked. I was like, okay, I asked.
But you know what I appreciate about you? So you're the kind of friend who asks those questions in advance. And at first, I remember when you were asking the questions, I literally turned to my sister and I was like, I feel like she's asking a lot of questions about her own country. Like, it's giving me scary. Should I be concerned? And then she was like, no, like, actually, like, it's probably a good idea to make sure that you guys are all on the same page. And like, that's right. I think that before you go on any trip, y'all should have a vibe check. Like, is this, let me just be honest, our friend Margaret is Nigerian. Y'all, I'm gonna make a comment here. Don't come for me in the
I do not agree with whatever she's about to say.
I'm about to say it with my whole chest. Nigerians got to be some of the most ostentatious Africans.
Oh, dressers, yes.
They dress to impress.
Yes, they do.
They do not share cabs. They are like, when they say high quality.
I recant my statement. I am agreeing.
I agree. I've not met a Nigerian yet who's like, oh, we're gonna go, I'll just wear whatever. No, those Nigerians, if you're traveling with them, you probably should understand what the budget is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at first I was like, oh, we're on the same page. And then I was like, let me just test something out. I was like, I sent y'all a screenshot of what I was getting from the Fashion Nova, and then Margaret's like, oh, well, here's what I'm getting.
And, was like,
I was like,
oh.
Delete, 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 delete. I will not be made a fool of on this vacation. And my thing is, like, Margaret wasn't even like, oh, like, I'm trying to raise the bar. Like, that's just how they go out.
That's
like,
just the standard.
That's the standard. And I was like, if that's the standard, I can't come looking here subpar.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that my wardrobe is adequately planned. Hence, rolled in the pretty little things, the Fashion Novas, the sheets.
And you looked great. She looked great.
I did, y'all.
The things were thangin'.
It was all thanging where it needed to thang, all right?
Yes.
And nobody had any complaints except for my mammy.
Only compliments, okay? She was on the beach and they're like, okay, mommy. And you know.
Listen, but also too, apparently they're just a very generous nation. They were saying that to everyone. At first I was like, yes! And then like a puppy would go by them like, okay, mommy. And I'm like, it's not even, she can't even understand you. You're just saying it to say it. And Lola was like, we're just a nation of complimentary people.
Yes.
And I was like,
sweet with the words.
But I knew that they meant it though, because I was looking fire. Come on.
You were racist, mommy.
But, but here's the thing. I think that for the girls trip, in order to avoid, you know, bringing these rumors and these things to life, we need to A, discuss what the budget is, do a vibe check, make sure, you know, wardrobe wise, we're all up to par, you know what I'm saying? And then C, plan like realistic things that we can actually do. Yeah. Y'all have figured out by now that I am obviously the extrovert at the table. I feel like Lola's an ambivert, like she's comfortably in the middle, but she likes to be in the naps. She likes to be at home.
I love the naps.
And
keep them coming.
Look at those smiles. She's like, I love the naps. But like, I'm like, okay, so on this trip, I was like, we're gonna have to factor in, you know, some nap time, some down times. And like Lola was like, she was very honest about it. She said, hey, like, you know, I see that we have plans all 10 days. And she was like, what if, and this is a suggestion, we have rest days in between. And honestly, it was probably the best idea like we ever had. Like, and it just balanced out the trip, I felt like, because we were doing a lot on the days that we did like the adventure park and all that stuff.
That was the whole day.
It was the whole day. And the next day, just everyone was just like, it was, you know.
We were just knocked out. Chilling in the pool, but knocked out.
Literally on the floaties, like.
They had a lazy river and we're just like,
But, you know, so you have to balance out the trip. I think that's also the problem, is that people make plans that they can't genuinely commit to.
Yes.
And I think that that's an issue. What's another issue?
I think if you had some type of beef percolating beforehand, being in a confined space for days on end, you're bound to have some problems. So if there is issues, you gotta air it out. We had a little powwow before our girls trip.
Did. She did. Y'all, let me tell y'all, 2022 grad school Lola came to collect, and I love it. I want to believe that we're influencing her for the better. I don't know if her parents would agree, but no, seriously. So we were having a conversation, and we're at Margaret's house. We're like detailing all the plans. And, you know, it's casual. We're eating the ice creams, the breakfast. And Lola goes, so let me tell y'all bitches something. And I said,
those words exactly. Because that's the type of person that I am.
And no, she collected us very respectfully. She said, let me tell you ladies something right here, right now. I'm going to air this out. Just took it out. Made a list of her complaints. And she was like, I'm going to need these addressed. I'm going to need these rectified. And I'm going to need everyone to come together and not bring it to the country. And you know what? I think that me and Margaret were both like, oh, how refreshing. I'm like,
refreshing?
I think we were both like, how refreshing, legitimately. Because Lola's like, y'all have met Lola?
Yeah.
She's very soft. And usually I think you go with the flow as to appease people.
Yeah.
And like lately you've been like, no. Like even,
I've been very snippety these past couple
I wouldn't say it's snippety.
I don't know what word to put, but like now I'm just kind of like respectfully, no. Before I would have been like, okay, I guess, sure.
You're the protector of your peace.
Yeah, no, now I'm protecting it at like high security,
cost,
maximum.
Right?
I'm just like,
So let me tell you, like from the very beginning, I was like, okay, like there's this thing that I want to do. I think it was like underwater scooters, and you have like the hat on.
Yeah.
And Lola was like, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now it's a no. Yeah. She was like, take it off the table.
I said I will take photos of you.
How would you take photos underwater with me?
I would have figured it out.
Like,
I would have gotten a little case, dipped it in there.
Had the fishing line like.
Yep. Snap. Reel it back in. I told you want to throw yourself off a cliff. I'm not going to join you. I'll take a photo.
Right.
I'm going to take a photo kind of gal. Actually lies. I was the only one.
She did. She jumped off the cliff. Guys, so I had gotten my hair braided 2 days before this, and I realized, no, I'm not even going to lie to you. First of all, the water was deep. Lola has had a few swimming lessons, so proud of her. And you know, she was like, I'm gonna do this. And then she went, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna insert the clip here. Inserts clip right here.
You got it.
You can do it, mommy. You can do it, mommy.
And Lola did it, y'all. I was so proud of her. I was literally shouting from the top. I didn't even think she heard me because she was submerged in the water for so long. But people would like plop into the water, and I was like, "Ooh, it's taking y'all a while to come back up." I'm a little hefty. I'm a little bottom heavy. You know what I'm saying? That's what God gave me. I'm a little anchored back there, and so I'm finna hit rock bottom. I wanted to see it. Right, and I was like, that's just not gonna be my testimony. For that one, the spirit didn't move me there.
Well, there'll be other trips and other cliffs to throw yourself
But I was but that's also the thing. I think that's how you have a successful trip, is that you pushed yourself outside of your comfort limit.
I think I made it a point so like the girl trip was fun. I
loved it.
I would give it a 10 out of 10. It was not without little bumps in the road.
Yes.
And I think that's another thing. Like I've had to like come to terms, confrontations or like disagreements are okay.
They are. They're natural.
Can I also say something? It's okay to find your friends annoying sometimes. It's okay to be like, I'm not feeling you right now. And I think sometimes that's the issue that I wrestle with. Like, but I care about this person. I love them. Why do I have these feelings? Because you're a human being, and they're a human being, and you're in your space, they're in yours. Like, it's just too much for you. So, okay, you're annoying me, or this and that. I feel like when women push those things aside, it builds up, and it turns into this catastrophic thing.
Right.
So you hear about the big
girl trip's gone wrong. It's terrible.
At the last dinner, people were like, well, actually, what I wanted to say was, you and your ugly ass bikini, I lied. It looks stupid on you. Like, you know what I mean?
I can see your ingrown. I can see it. Like, come on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I think it's a good thing. I think if you, like, get it out the way, or you just acknowledge the feelings, and you're like, it's a little annoying, but it's whatever. Also, too, like, I will say my most successful trips have been because like we're okay to not share the same itinerary.
Gotcha.
Right? So like, there were certain parts where Lola was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna dip out, I'm gonna go grab my afternoon nap, God bless y'all, God keep y'all know where to find me. And I was like, cool, like y'all know where I'ma be, you know what I'm saying?
Which I will say this, Esther did check on me one day after like I don't know what it was, I went into the room and I was like laying there and all I hear is Lola, and I was like, yes. Are you okay? Yes.
She's like, I'm napping now. And I'm like, oh, okay, I just woke this. Okay, all right. I was like, all right, you let us know if you're I will. I'm like, oh.
I'll scream if I need to.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a good
But it made me feel, I was literally like wiped out like of my energy. I'm like, but I was there like annoyed like because I was tired. And I was like beat down. I was like, that's a really nice thing for her to do.
Right?
I appreciated it. I appreciated it.
And also too, I think that you have to check yourself sometimes. Yeah. Like I know when I'm annoyed, I'm like, okay. No, this is not the time for me to respond. Y'all, we had a spat. We made it through the whole trip. The whole trip. I was like, wow, what a wonderful trip. Like, we didn't even have real life arguments. Like, so we get to the airport. I don't know why this happened. Oh my God. Lola got flagged. Like, she's the only Dominican looking person maybe in the whole line speaking fluent Spanish. And they're like, you seem like a risk to the country.
Let's check you.
Yeah, like super tough. So she had to go through security twice, and they were like really like strenuous about it. Yeah. So me and Margaret.
And did I tell you the security guard? He was like looking at my passport and looking at me like, "You look awfully different." And I was just like,
"Do you mean it's been 10 years?" Like.
No, but my photos from like 3 or 4 years ago, but like obviously it was a lot darker. And I was like, "Okay, I took some sun." What do you, I got braids in my head, like, okay, and I'm wearing glasses, like, what's up? But he kept like looking, like, and I'm like
you're not the same person.
And I was like, and I was getting annoyed because I'm just like, and then I'm like, do I not look like the same person? Have I changed so rapidly in 3 years? Am I aging? But like literally, I was like, yeah. So I got checked twice. Actually, what happened was I didn't realize that if they put SSSS on your passport, they're checking you twice. We got to a point where the guy was like, do you know what this means? And I was like, no. It means that they're gonna check you profusely. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I went the first time. They didn't do anything, and then we got to
the point, immigration. They're like, go back.
Go back.
And then she had to do the whole thing again. And so we were like, okay, like we're gonna wait for her and make sure it's all solid. But I'm not gonna lie to you, you could see Lola being super annoyed back there. And I was like, you know, she's going through a lot, that poor girl. Like Maya, she's like translating for me and Margaret. She's like, and like this is the end of the trip, it's the last leg, you know? So finally, Lola goes through security a second time, goes through immigration. She gets to the immigration gate, and me and Margaret go, okay, like, she's good. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna run to the store. I wanna grab some snacks. Margaret's like, oh my gosh, yeah, great timing. So we go because she's at the gate, and we assume it's all good. And then we text her like, hey, we're in the store to the bottom of the escalator. You're gonna be totally good. Lola comes down there in a fury. Like, she is upset. And I was like, oh hell no. Like, just come with the face. Like, she was just marching over like, let me tell y'all something, right? And then she goes, yeah, I don't know about y'all, but she was, that's not how she said it. She was like, just in case y'all didn't know, that was a very scary experience for me, and I would prefer moving forward if you didn't leave until we were all together.
No, and really, I was like, in my head, I'm like, wow, is this who we are?
We made eye contact with this girl at the gate. We know she gonna clear. And I'm like,
they could have turned me around like, let me look at that passport one more time. You look awfully different
from the last 2 minutes. Like, so Lola's like expressing her frustration. And I'm like, girl, we are about to board the plane. We not doing this here. And I was like, you were fine. We saw you at the gate. And she was like, well, it doesn't matter to me because if it were me, and whenever someone hits me with a, if it were me, I would have, that's when I start shutting down like, boop, boop, boop. And so I could feel the annoyance in me because I was like, girl, I waited for you. Like, don't be acting like I didn't wait for you. Because actually one of the girl trips that went hideously wrong for me was that my friend tried to abandon me. Like, it was, I'm not going to go through the story because y'all already know the story. But y'all don't know the story, but the people that need to know the story know the story. So when Lola was like, y'all left me, I was like, now hold on a minute. I made sure you were safe and secure. I was like, but then she was like, but that's not how it felt for me. She was like, you travel more than me, so that might not be something that phases you. But for me, like, that was a scary situation. And in that moment, I was like, no. You know what? I'm not going to receive this.
I think Margaret goes, I apologize.
Yeah, so she goes, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. And I literally go, oh, I'm not. Like, I'm not sorry.
She's like, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not gonna apologize. But I was like, okay, and
I literally kept it pushing. And you know what it was? Because I had already said, well, because you know, I said the clean, well, I'm sorry you felt that way. You know what I'm saying? And then she was like, well, and she keeps going. And so Margaret finally goes, hey, I'm sorry we made you feel that way. And I said, well, don't we me in this apology. I feel no way. I'm not sorry.
There is no remorse.
I was like, I have no care in the world. I was like, I said I wouldn't do it again. I'm not having this conversation. We get on the plane, it's stone cold silent. And I'm like, so then I spend the next 4 hours just reading on the plane. And finally I'm like, Esther, you could have handled that better. I'm like, and what's worse is you could have checked yourself. Because in that moment you knew you weren't in the mood. You had already said enough. I'm like, you could have just been like, nah. Get it to you when you're ready. But by baggage claiming JFK, I was like, hey, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said that. I am sorry that we made you feel that way. I was a little too persnippety there. And she was like, I'm also sorry. And just like that, the girl trip was saved. The score was reinstated.
Yes.
It went well.
But like, even if you think about it, we had an issue.
Right.
We had the tiff.
Right.
The climax was the actual like, I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
The plane ride to think about things, resolution.
Right.
And that would be great if most things end like that, but unfortunately I don't think women know how to like do that. And I think I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back by verbalizing exactly what I felt. Because if I was just like, you left me and you left me, but I was like, no, you travel more than me. I've never been stopped before. This is the first time I've traveled. The first time I traveled by myself was in March, but to family. I was like, this is the first time I'm by myself with just 2 people. People get snatched up. Sex trafficking is a real thing.
It is.
Like, and I was just thinking like, oh my God, any second now I could get turned around. And I was like, because what happened was, this is what happened. I didn't get the text till I got down.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm clear. And then all I see is 2 girls going down the escalators. I said, the fuck is this?
Me?
I said, huh? said this, and I said maybe they're just going on a little loop. Maybe they're just wasting some time going up and down. And I was just like, but I also feel like
specifically looking for Skittles that day. I was on a Skittles bend.
I know. Also, don't buy Skittles in the airport. It's just way too expensive.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I was like, okay, there are things that I do that maybe it's a little bit too much that most people wouldn't do. Like, I don't know if you noticed when we were walking, Margaret would walk ahead, and I was right behind her, and then I would stop and I would look, and I'm like, wait. And I would literally like wait for Esther because, like, God forbid, like I am Maritza's child, and we are anxious people. And I'm like, any second now, beautiful girls to get snatched up. Like, not on my watch. Not on my watch. But I appreciate that while we had this thing, we were both, I think, also respectful. Because we weren't like, fuck you.
Right. It could have turned ugly real quick in the airport.
In the airport would have gone.
And of all places, I think we were just like, you know what, we're not going to. I think it was both like, we're not going to do this here. This is a conversation we'll have later down the line.
It was so awkward because Margaret's steady trying to make conversation
right.
between the two of us.
Margaret's sitting there like, and I'm like, will you be quiet? Ain't nothing to love out here. Shush. We'll get on the plane inside.
It was so funny because, like, Margaret would talk to me, but it was obviously a conversation for the three of us, and I was just like, And I was like,
Like, they were talking about finding snacks, and I was like, yeah, snacks. Like, I go in the last word, yeah. I like sunshine,
I went to go drink coffee, the nastiest coffee I've ever had in my life, but I drank because I knew. I said, just keep drinking your coffee, eat your snacks, don't worry about it. But literally, I was okay. This is a good example of confrontation and resolution.
Yes.
And I think if women learn to do that, then these girls' trips wouldn't go awry.
And I think that, honestly, that more people should travel. I know that it's a summer revenge travel, and
Sorry to cut you off. People don't travel. So
right.
What do they say about people like you shouldn't marry someone until you travel with them because you really don't know them?
Yes.
Travel will bring the best and the worst out of you.
And I think it's great. I actually love that. Like, but I seek it in specific people because I know that, right?
Gotcha.
Which is why I don't travel with everyone. And I think that's very important, is to know yourself and know who you're traveling with. And mind you too, so like we're sharing a room with 2 queen beds. In the beginning, Lola's like, oh my gosh, like you could sleep with me. I've slept with in the bed with Lola before.
Apparently.
Lola thinks that she sleeps very calmly in bed. She does not.
Okay.
She's a starfish sleeper.
Okay.
You spread out. So, like, she didn't believe me. So, the first night, I was like, I'm going to show her why I don't sleep with her. I'm like, the first night, I take a picture of Margaret and Lola. All over the bed. That's not how she started, by the way. She started off with a... one side, middle of the bed. I go to pee in the middle of the night. This girl is on the whole mattress. I'm like, I don't know if she gets too hot and she has to kick in a certain direction.
Maybe.
I don't know. She did the same thing in DC, y'all. I tell you, like, I'm on the edge of the mattress because she's starfishing. And then it's like she's searching for heat sources because she gets closer and closer. And finally I'm like, she's just gonna snatch me on up, ain't she? And I'm just like, I don't move in my sleep at all. Gotcha. It's kind of zombie-like, guys. You know? So
you're very peaceful.
Yeah. I think that you're peaceful, but your peace is so relaxed that you're like, I'm gonna just turn up in here.
Yes.
I like to spice up
let
the sleep.
Lucy now.
Come on, you know?
Gotcha.
But I think that's the thing. I think that you have to know who you're traveling with. I think that you have to know yourself very comfortably.
Yeah.
You have to know your budget. You have to know the vibe. And I think that you have to know the reality of travel, that there is going to be hiccups. I love traveling with people who have traveled because then you know to expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing that I've ever done is like when my siblings came to visit me while I was living abroad. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to Madrid. It's a last minute trip. Let's do it. And so I booked us the tickets there. And then we spent the weekend. Monday comes around. We're preparing to go back. We get to the airport and they're like, the tickets that you booked for return are for next week. And I was like, oh. But, like, I love that they don't react. Like, they too know to expect the unexpected. So we took a bus back to Barcelona and ended up having to walk, like, 2 hours to my house. Oh. But you know what? Didn't complain the whole time. Like,
They knew the circumstances.
Right. And so, like, I've been on a lot of trips like that with people. And a lot of people, because things don't go according to plan, they get very upset. They get agitated. And then it falls to the planner. And that's why recently I'm like, I don't like traveling with big groups because I'm like, I don't want to be the designated planner and then all the responsibility or your experience depends on my plan. You know what I mean?
No, I got you. I think for me the next time what I'm going to try to do is like, when I'm done, I'm done. Okay, so what I mean by that is like, if everyone's having fun, I'm cool just not doing anything, right? But if you're doing a group thing, it's kind of awkward being the only person not doing anything. There was one point at the resort with the gymnastic people.
Yes.
I was tired, but I saw poor Esther's face full of life, full of energy. And I said, you know what? Let us continue. and I could tell Margaret was ready to go. And I think if the two of us had said, we're going, you would have been by yourself. But I felt that. So I said, no, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. And I said, I made it a point that day. I said, you cannot just be thinking about yourself the whole entire time. Sometimes, yes, they gotta bend to you, and other times you gotta bend to them. And I think people need to learn to compromise. I think that's another thing. Also, I think sometimes girls' trips are the beginning of the end. Like, shit goes down in the girls' trip, and then the bickering starts.
Right.
Like, this is the catalyst.
Right. Of, like, the terrible situations.
Actually, we had a little, so it was a tip on my end. We were at a restaurant. It was, like, the first day in Santo Domingo. And I guess I was huffing. I'm a very much eye roll, like I'm a, right? And Esther was like, you have to relax. All of this, you gotta relax. And I just remember, I just got real quiet and I said,
yeah. You know what it was? What was it?
because Margaret was mentioning something and we were talking about two different answers. And I think I had said the right answer. And then you're like, but this is also an option. And I was like,
oh my
gosh.
I
was like, no. And I was like, no.
I remember. Okay, so, and here's the thing too, like, it's okay, it's also okay to be exhausted and with your friends, or even, like, because I think that particularly for you, like, you're an ambivert, which I can be around people for long periods of time, and I feel like for you, not so much, but to be around people literally 24/7 for all those days is a lot.
Also, I was hungry, because I wake up early, okay, so, it was a whole thing, right? So, I wake up early, and
at, like, 6 a.m. on vacation, and I'm like, I'm not at work, I'm not doing that.
And there was no food in the
Airbnb.
There was like a piece of bread somewhere, but I was like hungry. So it was hot. I was already hungry, and we were whatever it was. You'll explain what it is.
So we were getting bike rentals that morning,
Yeah.
and so Lola goes, I think I might want to do the tricycle, and I go, girl, like, you mean the little bike with the two wheelies on the big bike, like on the big wheel? And she goes, no, like that's not what a tricycle is. And I'm like, yeah, that's what a tricycle is. And she goes, no, it's not. And so she pulls up a picture, and she was like, this is the tricycle, which is a bike that has two huge wheels in the back, and I guess it offers more support to certain people, as opposed to, like, the tiny little tricycles that a lot of people would, or that I would have thought a lot of people associated with. So then I'm like, oh, okay, that's not the tricycle I know of, but whatever. So Lola was like, and so I'm like, oh, sweetie. And I literally was like, all of this, and like all morning, I didn't say anything because I do know that first of all, me and Margaret will sleep. If you let us sleep, the day will go. The day will go. We can sleep. So I think we ended up leaving at like 12, but Lola had been up since 6, and she had
texted people
at like 6 a.m. 7 a.m. But we never saw we're asleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by the time we leave, it's noon. Obviously, Lola's on her last leg. She's about to die of starvation, and so this whole morning she's like, we need to go. Like, and so we were like, okay, cool, whatever. I can get the frustration. But finally, we're at the restaurant. I'm like, sweetheart, we're here. Like, all of this, we need to knock it down a few notches. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, and then later on, she goes, I'm an expressive person, and you're an expressive person. And she was like, and coming from you, one of the most expressive people I know. She was like, it just hurt me. And it hurt me that was in public. And I go, Lola, like, nobody even heard. It was me, you, and Margaret. And she's like, but it was in the public. It was in public.
God heard it all.
And I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that would upset you, and I apologize.
I think I did a good job because the next day we went to the same place, I think, for lunch.
Yep.
And we were talking, and I think this is something I had, okay, so it happened one day, and then the resolution happened the next day.
Yeah.
Right? So I was mad about this, right? And I was telling Margaret, like, I can't keep letting y'all humiliate me. And shout out to Margaret. Because I was like, and you did it to me in DC. And she was like, wait, what? I thought because, I was like, no, you can't be talking to me in front of people like that. She's like, well, now I know if it's, I was like, yeah, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this.
Oh my, I had no idea, y'all.
But like, literally, I was like, I'm tired of this, all right? And I'm like, I'm upset. And I started crying. And then the next day, we're in the same place.
Oh my God.
But
was I sleeping through this? Because I'd be doing that.
Maybe. But the point being was, I think that's another thing about girls' trips. Like, you might get triggered by something, but you upset about whole other stuff, right? Like, because you were doing something very minute, and for me to be like, you're humiliating me, it means that I've been feeling something for a while.
Yeah.
This was just
and you're letting things percolate until it explodes.
So the next time when we sat there, the next day, I said, okay, we're here. I said, you know, Esther, the last time we were here, you didn't talk to me very nice, right? I think because I presented it in a way of like, hey, I want to talk to you about my feelings, but I'm not like, you disrespected me here the last time, and let that be the first and the last time. Because I feel like sometimes when people bring up their issues, they come very aggressive and very much like, oh, I want to fight. And it's like, I was like, no, I don't want to fight with my friend.
Or they make someone else accountable for how they felt. Whereas,
And I'm like, okay. Just know how you're bringing things to people, how you're presenting it to people. Because if not, you won't get a fight. Y'all gonna get an argument.
Heard. And I'm like, I think it's good to know. I'm actually so glad to hear about this. I had no idea.
And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm just tired of being humiliated. And I said, I can't keep letting this happen. Like, I'm not gonna let everybody else do it.
And I'm like, oop, girl, I don't be doing all of that. I'm like, you're gonna have to take some of that home because.
But I think it was shocking for Margaret too, because I mentioned the DC thing, and she was like, that's considered one of those moments. I'm like, yes.
And that's my thing. I think that's also the thing is that you have to know, like, I think it's so much easier when you live separately, but you're on the group chat to be like, we're in sync, you know what I'm saying? And then you go out there and they're like, that hurted me. I'm like,
I thought you understood my inner thoughts. I thought you understood me.
Like that's the thing. I think that, and I think especially for women, because our best friends are a lot of our safe spaces. I can be myself there and I'm safe there, right? But the reality is we still have to communicate. Like it's still a relationship. Like your friend is still not a mind reader. Granted, if they're your friend, they know how you feel about certain things. Like I know if it's the middle of the night, I can't go to Lola and be like, whack up. Like,
and the few times that they have reached out to me and I respond, everyone's like, wow, it's a miracle.
Literally, it's a shock. Yeah. But I think that you have to know, and you have to be willing to communicate on, like, as soon as, when you can, what is not working for you and what is.
And be honest.
And be very honest.
And think about what you're saying. Like, what are you, I think, and again, I'm going to apply myself, is actually saying what the issue is. And, like, instead of saying, you've hurt me, you did this, it's like, hey, I felt this way because of this, and it's an issue for me. Because if you're like, oh, you hurt me, okay, and what is that person supposed to do?
I'm going to soothe you to bed now.
Like, but it doesn't alleviate you. And I also feel like there's, maybe this is another episode, there's, like, apology languages.
Oh, there is? Love languages?
Yeah, and that's so funny because when you apologize to me in the airport and I apologize back, you're like, I don't like when I've already apologized to be kept, like, reiterating.
Right, I'm not good at that because once I've already said, hey, I won't do it again, that to me, like, I think the best form of apology is changed behavior. Mm-hmm. So when someone keeps harping on it, I'm like, so my word is not good enough then.
So that's a type of apology letter.
I don't like that.
That's a type of apology language, and there are people who are like, oh no, I need you to hear my grievances.
I'm not good at that. Don't.
Because to you, it's like you're telling me I'm not like my word doesn't mean shit to you. Because I just said I'm not going to do it again.
Right.
Versus me, I'm like, you going to hear this? You going to hear all of this today?
I made a list! And we're going to go from A to Z!
Because I feel like some people are very easy to let things go. And because you're easy to let things go if someone's like, hey, I'm not going to do this again. And until they show you that they're going to do it again, you're like, okay, cool. Me, I'm just like, my feelings.
But that's okay. I think that's a beautiful thing. We should make that an episode. Is apology languages. And I think that if we're gonna have successful trips, it's understanding boundaries.
Yeah.
Financially, wardrobeally.
Yes. Don't come up here no potato sack and people out here rocking fashions.
Or you taking pictures and not with us. I'm like, I didn't come out here to look a fool, but. No, like, you have to respect your boundaries emotionally, financially, and really just know who you're with and know who you are. And remember, like, these are people that you love and appreciate and that you want to have in your life. The reason you traveled with them.
Don't go on trips with people you don't like.
And because I think you can love a lot of people, but not like a lot of people. It's a real thing.
Stop saying people your friends and they're not your friends, sis.
Right. Don't go out with your acquaintances.
That's why these girls trips go down. That ain't your friend, and you know that ain't your friend.
Fast. Now you know you ain't liked her from jump.
Exactly. You were looking at her funny from the beginning.
Right. Now like, she did you sour, and you like,
It's like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But y'all, let us know how your girl trips have gone. Let us know if you would go again. Let us know your thoughts, suggestions. Yes. Where should we travel?
Actually, leave us a horror story when it comes to a girls' trip, if you can comment. Or if you got a good one, please let us know.
Right, let us know. We want to hear it. So guys, we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And that's all for now.
That's all.
Bye.